If you actually look at the amount of money that people in the top range of the income threshold are paying, they're paying far more because we're closing down a whole series of the loopholes that are being put into the tax system, which has made the tax system remarkably complicated, and we're closing that down and simplifying it.
Thanks very much, Tim. Nabil, we had a hand up just there.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saeed from Trustee of our Law Foundation. I represent these children sitting here in front of you. I'd just like to ask what the politicians are doing about the flagrant Islamophobia that exists in the media today. And these children see it on a day-to-day basis where they're almost not included as being British. We're very proud of being British and what we can give back to this society. We instill this into our children. But on a daily basis in the media, on television, in the newspapers, we're having to apologise the majority for the actions of the very, very small minority. How can we instill hope in these children that they have a role to play in the future when the media constantly tell them that they don't?
Nick Clegg is going to be here in half a minute. I know he's going to answer precisely a question on that front, and he can give you a better view on that. Personally, I can just say I fully support what you're saying. I think anything which the media does, which demonises any group in our society, is completely wrong and completely unacceptable. I'm going to step away now. I've enjoyed my brief minutes at the podium. I would love to talk to people who want to get more involved in the Liberal Democrats as a political party. I'll be there, I'll be around, so do please come and talk to me if there are any other questions I can answer, particularly on that front. Thank you very much.
Right, we'd like to welcome Right Honourable Nick Clegg, Deputy Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Democratic Party. Just before he speaks, I'd like to also ask Dr. Ahmed Al-Dubian, the Director General of the London Central Mosque and Islamic Cultural Centre, to just say a few words in a welcoming note. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all, as we say in Islam. Let me start actually with thanking you all, your Right Honourable and the other guests, all the brothers and sisters who are here with us today, for giving actually this chance to be gathered here today for really a marvelous time and marvelous day together. We believe actually engagement with the Muslim community, meeting Muslim community by the leaders, it's something very, very important. Especially in Britain. Why especially in Britain? Let me say actually proudly that is the achievements of Muslim communities has achieved in this country are really remarkable, and it is something we are all proud of. And thank you very much for that. All people here, or most of them, representatives of charities, organizations, mosques, they are leaders of actually Muslim communities. And they are all here because they believe that is actually working together is a must. And engagement with them from yourself, the government itself, from all the politicians actually is something that is we would like it to happen, and we would like really to have it. And I believe the achievements of Muslim community in UK actually is really remarkable in all Europe. It is really a good model that is we all mention on the conferences in France, in Germany, and other European countries. Thank you very much for that. I do believe also this place where we are now today, the Islamic Cultural Centre, London Central Mosque, is a very good example of the collaboration between the country here and Muslim communities. It is really a good example also for the contribution that is Muslims themselves gave. This land of this place was given, actually granted for the Muslim community to have an Islamic Cultural Centre in 1940. Signed by the government in 1944, Muslim leaders received it here as actually a grant, which they are till now are proud of. And they are really from that time till today, this place actually with the massive, big, remarkable contribution from the Muslim countries also. The third party in this collaboration project Actually, till today, we have more than 60 years now of service for all the Muslim community in many things, educational matters, religious matters, social matters, and everything, which is really a good example, as I said, for the contribution of the Muslim community in this country. Next year is 2014, is also actually the memory of the First World War. Of course, it's not actually a good memory, the war, for anybody on the earth. But I think it is really also a year that is, we will remember it as Muslims, because we remember also the contribution of Muslims who lost their souls actually fighting also on the side of UK. Also, the contribution from the Muslim community in the charity work, charitable work, is really also something that is we are so proud of. And we know that is without, of course, the support, without engagement with the government, with the institution, the government institution, this will never happen, will never be possible, and will never happen. And I think today also we are expecting from the Muslim charities in the country to play also more role in the circumstances we are passing through in these days now. Again, I have to remind you actually of some remarkable organization, umbrella organization like the MCB, who really is doing and has done really a lot of work for all the Muslim community, which we are also proud of. And again, we have to say that we still have a lot of hopes actually till now from the coalition itself, actually with the government itself, that is many of these hopes, we hope that they will come truly for more engagement, for more working together, and for really more understanding and remembering the role of the Muslim community in this society.
It is so nice to see so many of you from so many different communities, from so many different parts of the country, here representing not the Muslim community, but Muslim communities in all of the breadth and wealth that you represent for modern Britain. And I just really want to add to something that was said earlier, was how very sincerely I believe that you should be immensely, immensely proud of what you contribute, every single one of you here and all of you collectively, to what is modern Britain. And you know, it's not because of one policy, one act, one business, one publication, one mosque, one speech, one pamphlet. It's because of the values that bind you together. Many of you come from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, but one thing that has always struck me as I have met friends and colleagues in Muslim communities up and down the country is that one thing seems to unite you all, which is a very, very strong set of values. And I just want to dwell on that for a minute, because we do live in a world where I think people are feeling insecure about the present, anxious about the future. I meet many, many people who feel that the bearings, the compass which they used to hold, which made sense of the world around them, no longer makes sense. It's as if the compass is spinning. It doesn't point in a reliable direction anymore. There are so many social and economic anxieties. There is so much to be fearful of in the footloose, fancy, free world of economic globalization. There are so many conflicts which are brewing. There is so much anger and extremism about. And I think in that context, holding on to these values that unite you, it's important in the best of times, but it's even more important in anxious times. And it doesn't just enrich you, it enriches all of us. Your commitment to family, for instance. No one can fail to be struck at a time when society is so often atomized, where people are left alone, where the elderly are abandoned by the younger generations, or the younger generations are neglected by the older generations, that there is something in your commitment, in your community's commitment to families, young and old, where respect is conferred on the elderly and care and protection is provided to the young, which is a wonderful, wonderful example for a society in which so many other respects is threatened by loneliness, by neglect and atomization. And then there's your commitment to charitable work in your community. Because a family, of course, makes no sense without a community, and a community makes no sense without a society. All strengthen each other. Every individual and every family and every community and every society draws on each other to create the collective strength which makes a strong, resilient and tolerant society. And your commitment to your communities and your commitment to giving up your time, to conferring your time, your energies, your expertise for charitable endeavours in your community is again, I think, a wonderful, wonderful example, not just to Muslim communities up and down Britain, but again, really strengthens the sinews of Britain, modern Britain as a whole. And there's one other thing that I would like to point out, which is not always the case, not always universal, doesn't apply to everybody, but it's something that certainly strikes me as I meet, talk to, listen to Muslim friends and colleagues up and down the country, which is a commitment to learning, which is why I've got no doubt that student issues and how our higher education system should be run, there is a wonderful passion and belief in the value of learning. And that is something which, like any old-fashioned liberal, I passionately believe in. Education is the great liberator. It is the great enricher. It opens horizons. Without education, we will not create the seedbed of tolerance and mutual respect, without which a tolerant and peaceful society cannot flourish. And so for all of those reasons, your commitment to family, your respect for the old, your care for the young, your commitment to your community through charitable work, and the significance and importance that you attach to learning, I want to thank you for whatever you do every day of every week and every week of every month, and remind you to be proud of what you have achieved, and to knock hard on the door of politicians like myself and challenge me and my party, as Haris rightly did, because you are not adequately represented in us. One of the reasons I've always been a liberal and always will be is because I celebrate and rejoice in the diversity of modern Britain. I kind of have to. I'm married to a Spaniard, my mum's Dutch, my dad's half Russian. I mean, I'm condemned to celebrate diversity. And yet diversity is not represented in us. And that is a collective failure on behalf of the world. Well, there are lots of good reasons I can give you. I'm afraid we're not a party which has lots and lots of constituencies which have voted Liberal Democrats from the dawn of time and will do until the end of time. So we can't sort of hand out constituencies to candidates like confetti, like the other parties can. We have to work and scrimp and save and campaign and knock on every door, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. And that by definition means that you have to draw, in a sense, on a pool of very stubborn, very resilient and very, very determined folk who tend to sometimes mimic each other. But those are excuses. We must become more diverse. If we want to represent modern Britain needs to be represented in us. And I want you to continue to challenge us on that, and I want to continue to work with you to be the standard bearer of tolerance, of mutual respect, and of all of the values that we all collectively hold dear here this evening. Thank you very much.
OK, well, nice to have you here, Deputy Prime Minister. I think I'll just start off with the obvious devil's advocate question and say, the current makeup of the current cabinet, you've only got one person from an ethnic minority background. What message is that giving to Muslims in the UK?
The wrong message, bluntly, in exactly the same way that the fact that the Liberal Democrats in the House of Commons are overwhelmingly male and overwhelmingly of a sort of similar background is not right. It needs to be changed, and it is a source of frustration for me, as it is for many other people, that it takes some time to change these things. We are making very active efforts in my party to support, encourage, and work with candidates in our ranks from underrepresented groups, including from the Muslim communities of Great Britain, so that over time they can become candidates and MPs and leaders of of political parties and indeed of the country themselves. This is part of a wider change that, of course, we need to see in all walks of public life. But I entirely accept your challenge that we've got a long way to go in politics before Westminster reflects modern Britain in all its diversity in a way that it should.
Well, isn't there also a worry on top of that? Some of the rhetoric on immigration coming from the government might be giving the wrong message to some Muslims.
No, I don't think there's anything about this debate on how to create an immigration system which works, which is administratively competent, which ensures that we know who's coming in and out of the country. None of that is directed at particular communities or people from particular backgrounds or faiths or ethnicities. It's just a question of making sure that the public as a whole have confidence that the way in which the immigration system works is fair where it should be fair, but firm where it needs to be firm, that it welcomes people from around the world who want to come to Britain for good reasons, for legitimate reasons, to make a contribution to this country, but that it doesn't create loopholes which can be abused. So my philosophy and the philosophy of the Liberal Democrats is very simple. It's not to embark on a sort of populist war of words on immigration, but to make sure that in order to create a tolerant Britain, that we are intolerant of abuse.
Now, you may be aware that the pressure group Student Rights has just released a report which seems to suggest that they feel that issues with enforced segregation on university campuses, sorry to bring it back to universities again, the enforced segregation among Islamic societies on university campuses is currently becoming an issue and is in some way linked even to Islamic extremism. What are your views on that?
I'm afraid I haven't read the report. It's the first time I've heard about it, so I haven't, I'm just not going to comment on a report that I haven't read. But clearly what I want to see on university campuses across the country is a diversity of opinions, strong opinions. Campuses should be places where people argue, where there is passionate argument and dispute, but done in a way which is respectful and is respectful of different people's points of view. That is something that I think all university campuses should aspire towards.
But is there nothing that's beyond the pale at all?
Well, clearly any activity, this is nothing to do with universities, that is either illegal or an incitement to violence and hatred is of course beyond the pale. But that has nothing to do with university. That is just how we ensure that we have a tolerant and cohesive society in which people are entirely free to express their views, but not to do so in a way which can lead to violence being inflicted on other fellow citizens.